This is me. This is my beloved wife, Sylvia. This is Sylvia's idea of sailing. This is my dream of sailing and my hope of circumnavigating the globe as a retirement project in 2029. This is Sylvia's reaction to that idea.
What? He's got a plan.
I am on a 6-year quest to convince Sylvia that a circumnavigation is a wonderful adventure, but the clock is ticking, so join me as I search for the perfect yacht that Sylvia will love, and get all your ladies to subscribe and cheer Sylvia on in the comments. Welcome back to Naval Gazing at Camp David. This week we are heading back to Vietnam and the yards of Triac Composites to tour the baby of the Rapido Trimaran line, the Rapido 40. Today, we will 1. Review its specifications, pricing, and layout against 3 similar new vessels. 2. Do a full tour asking what would Sylvia say. 3. Naval gaze at an innovation and or an adjustment that might make life aboard just a little easier. 4. Have a look at the used market for 3 to 5 year old pre-owned comparables. And 5. Give it a Dave score and compare the result with all our previously reviewed yachts. As always, all this fun will be sandwiched between a pairing of wine, in this case, a cocktail, and a work of art from the same region as the guest yacht, in an effort to capture the culture and people who gave birth to these wonderful vessels. Waves, wine, art, and ideas. What a civilized way to spend 30 minutes. So let's get going. From high above Vancouver, we head across North America, the Atlantic, and all the way down the European and African continents to South Africa, and the yards of Royal Cape Catamarans, home of last week's guest yacht, the majestic 530. From here, we head east again, all the way to Vietnam and the yards of Triac Composites, where this week's guest yacht, the Rapido 40, is built. Finally, we hop over to Saigon and the distilleries of Saigon Baigur Gin for a lovely local cocktail pairing. Saigon Baigur is the first premium dry gin to be distilled in Ho Chi Minh City. It's a gin featuring fresh Buddha's hand and vapor-infused lotus flower. 12 distinctive local botanicals combine with 4 classic gin ingredients to present a drink that is a Vietnamese take on the classic dry gin. The unique combination of locally sourced botanicals gives Saigon Baigur a fresh, vibrant taste inspired by the city it's distilled in. Today, we are trying Summer in Saigon, a lovely combination of Saigon Baigur gin, coconut syrup, kumquat juice, and lychee syrup.
Very exotic. Let's go have a look at that boat. Cheers.
The whole Rapido line looks like an animal about ready to pounce. Look at those curved dagger boards. And when you consider that this is the smallest of the group, her dimensions look so aggressive and so beautiful. Of course, these amas all fold in as well, making it that much more unique when you go to dock it. You can see those beautiful solar panels out the back there and a tremendous position for the helm at the aft area there. Look at the way you get that beautiful flying hull, the lift that you're generated with those curved dagger boards. And here is the unit in its folded configuration so that you're not paying 2 or 2.5 times your moorage fees. Again, the spectacular look of those dagger boards. Here is the amas being folded in and out, a really robust and reasonable, innovative system. Okay, looking at the numbers here, we are doing a comparison. It's a little hard to compare this vessel to anything. There's not a lot of them out there. But we're looking at a Neil 43. We're looking obviously at the Rapido 40, the Dragonfly 40, And the only sort of cat that I could throw into this group would be the Seacat 37. As we look across the actual sail area here, the Neil leads the pack with 101, 102 square meters, followed by the Dragonfly and Rapido at about 97 and 98 each, and then the Seacat at 78 square meters. I wanted to show you this close-up here from the bow. Look at all of the elements here. You've got those amazing lifting curved foils, you've got winglets, you've got so much technology happening here, never mind the pure carbon and epoxy body that you got on this beast. Okay, looking now onto the cabin top here. Not a lot to look at here. None of them have a fly bridge or a fly lounge, if you will. The 43 is the only one of the Neils that doesn't. Seacat, of course, nothing like that on the roof line here to keep that boom low. And, of course, the Rapido and the Dragonfly. You've got a very nice, far more traditional, I would say, a cockpit on the Dragonfly 40. And then the Rapido, a little wider in the body, giving you a little more room in the interior. But on both of them, you've got the nets to either side, as opposed to the Neil, where you've got your weather decks up the sides. Looking at pricing here, you've got the Seacat at a substantial advantage at about 300,000 euro. Followed by the Neil at 400. Next is the Dragonfly at 509, and then the Rapido at 546. But bear in mind, that Rapido is a pure carbon fiber and epoxy boat. You're getting a lot for your money there. Having a closer look at the cabin top here, I just wanted to let you, see a little bit more detail on this vessel. Next, we're going to hop into the saloons. Well, here's where, the Neil stands apart for obvious reasons. Although the 43 is certainly more cramped, they still have managed to keep the master suite up out of the center or the amas. The amas just aren't big enough. The Seacat, quite small inside, but, it's very nicely done. The level of finishes are extremely high. The Dragonfly, beautifully finished on the interior. They've done a lot with the space they have, but substantially smaller capacity, I would say, than the Rapido. The Rapido here, a wider body. You've got the 2 berths, and your level of finish on the inside of this is excellent as well. Really, the level of finish on both the Dragonfly and the Rapido are certainly equivalent. Going down into the accommodations, of course, it stays the same on the Neil. The Seacat, obviously different. You've got an athwartship aft on the port side and a fore aft on the starboard side, which is your owner's hull. And then, of course, you have a small berth in the forward section of the port side. We've already looked at the accommodations on the other 3 and noted that it looks like, the Rapido would have the edge as far as comfort and livability there. Okay, another look then, just so you can see a little clearer in this image. You can see the U-shaped settee, a small nav desk there. You've got your aft berth and your forward berth. Good use of space here. Looking at the numbers, we've already looked at the top line here. We know what's going on there. As far as length overall, it is the Neil 43 at 43 feet, followed by the Dragonfly at 40.6 and the Rapido at 39.5. The length at the waterline, it's again the Neil at 42, an estimated 42, followed by the Rapido at 39.3, and then the Dragonfly at 37.66. Beam on these, of course, Seacat doesn't really count. It's 19.16. As far as the others go, with the AMAs extended on the Dragonfly, you're looking at a 27.6 foot beam. With them retracted, it's 13. And on the Rapido extended, it's 28.8, and retracted, it's 17. On the Neil, it's 24.5. On the Draft here, you've got between the two that have their fixed keels, the Seacats at 4.27 and the Neils at 4.95. On the Dragonfly and Rapido, it's the Dragonfly that takes it by a hair with a minimum draft of 2.3 feet to a maximum of 7.1. The Rapido is at 2.9 retracted and a maximum of 7.1. Air draft on these, it's the Rapido at 63 foot 2 inches, the Neil at 62, the Dragonfly at 61.6, and the Seacat at 57.84. Light ship displacement. The Seacat leads at 5 ton. Between the other three that are true trimarans and comparable, it's the Rapido at 5.742 ton, followed by the Dragonfly at 5.8 ton, and then the Neil at 9 tons. We've already looked at upwind sail area. Engines, you know, it's not a lot to choose from. The Seacat's twin 20s, Dragonfly's a 40, Rapido's a 30, and the Neil is a 50. As far as fuel and water goes, it would be the Neil out front at 364 liters of fuel and 600 liters of water. Moving to the more technical aspects of hull construction, it's the Rapido in the lead with epoxy-infused carbon, foam sandwich, and pre-preg carbon on the rudder and dagger boards. Next up is going to be a tie, really, between the Dragonfly and the Seacat, both of whom are vinyl ester and foam core with fiberglass. And then last but not least is our Neil with a vinyl ester outer resin coating, polyester, and foam core fiberglass with some carbon fiber reinforcements. Moving into the indicators of performance, sail area to displacement, or power, it is the Dragonfly at 30.8, followed by the Rapido at 30.7. So really, they're the same. Next is the Seacat at an amazing 29, and then the Neil at 23.9, in and of itself, not a bad number. Looking to displacement to hull length or heaviness, lowest number wins here. It is by far the Rapido at 93.1. The closest one to that is the Dragonfly at 107, followed by the Seacat at a very respectable 109, and then the Neil at 119.6. Getting into the KSP, or the indicator of potential theoretical speed at 10 knots of wind, it is the Rapido at 90% of wind speed, followed by the Dragonfly at 88%, followed by the Seacat at a highly respectable 85%, and then the Neil at still a good 76%. If you're enjoying the content, please do subscribe and send this out to a couple of like-minded friends and ask them to subscribe too. It really helps the channel. If you can give us a thumbs up and also leave a comment or two. I learned so much from the experienced sailors in this community. It's really a blessing to have you guys send me a comment or two. Finally, I've started a Patreon page to give you access to ad-free content as well as direct access to the Excel spreadsheets and the PowerPoint presentations. There's a couple of levels there. It's a few bucks a month, and it would really help us fund a few more boat show visits, shall we say. Thanks so much. Okay, hopping on board. What would Sylvia say? Well, Sylvia'd take one look at this sexy beast and she'd love it. up until she got inside and saw the space. So it's not for Sylvia to cruise on. If I was single, I'd do it in a heartbeat. But she would love a lot of aspects of this vessel. It's beautifully done, and not the least of which are these fabulous aft gin and tonic seats. Very, very comfortable. You can see folks just reclining there, beautifully laid out. The curved dagger boards look so sexy. That little round thing you see there is a translucent panel that brings light into the ama. So they're thinking of a whole bunch of very practical elements. And of course, you have massive stowage space in these amas. You could stow a kid or two in there for sure. The nets leave a massive amount of comfortable space. These dagger boards, the foils are just so sexy looking. The whole profile of the boat is beautiful. The boom, very nice and low. Obviously a very powerful sail plan on this vessel. So, you know, every aspect of it is so purposeful. And of course, when you realize this is a full carbon and epoxy boat, it really starts to make you sit up and take notice. Note a lot of the beautiful hatches there, massive ventilation, forward facing, bringing a lot of air into the saloon. The layout of the lines is very nice and neat. You've got very clear deck space. Your anchor and your chain are all beautifully hidden away. There's no dragging stuff across the gel coat and leaving stains. So a very practical layout for a vessel of this magnitude and speed potential. They actually were storing the tender, which you saw just below the net there. They pull it up and drop it onto the actual nets themselves for transport. Heading back here, you can see the comfort that everybody has. You've got electric winches. Everybody just chilling back here on the gin and tonic seats. Back here, of course, you don't have a great wheel. You have a tiller, making this even more fun to pilot this boat. You can see a lot of, again, ventilation for the passengers. Okay, looking at a little naval gazing, I've got something rather interesting for you this week. I'm a bit of a tech geek, and I found the Garmin Quatix 7 Marine GPS smartwatch. It connects with select compatible Garmin chart plotters, and it's a remote control for key MFD features, including chart zoom, layout, shortcut, fusion stereo, which is also owned by Garmin, autopilot, and more, all on your wrist. This is really cool. An internal rechargeable lithium battery provides up to 18 days of battery life in smartwatch mode, 57 hours in GPS mode, and up to 60 hours in UltraTrack battery saver mode. Traditional button controls that work in any environment are matched with a responsive new touchscreen interface for quick access to selections and functions. Even when you're not at the helm, you can control your boat, access the autopilot app to change heading, engage pattern steering, and follow GPS routing. Control your onboard entertainment system from your watch with the built-in Fusion Link Light app. View data, including water depth, engine RPM, wind, custom data, and more, directly on your wrist when you connect your Quatix 7 to your boat's compatible devices. For better situational awareness on the water, Quatix 7 alerts you to imminent tide changes and anchor drag. No need to return to the helm to mark each catch. You use your watch to place chart plotter waypoints from anywhere on the boat. When it comes to sailing, don't just time your start, visualize it. Create a virtual starting line to time the perfect start. Also, use Tack Assist to see whether you are headed or lifted. Using a celestial database to track sun and moon rise set times relative to position to your location and mode, this app offers suggestions for the best days and times for fishing success. The Quatix 7 supports premier coastal chart featuring integrated The Quatix 7 supports premier coastal charts featuring integrated navionics data. I mean, that's really cool. Actually, Garmin is bringing out some pretty fantastic toys for the sailor. If you recall that full surround visual system that they offered, that was very, very interesting for tight docking situations. Okay, back on board, heading past the chart plotter. And one last look around the navigation area here, and then down into this berth, which is accessed from the inside, not through here. This is just a very large ventilation port for you. Stepping now down into the saloon itself, you can see you've got a fair bit of space. Bearing in mind, this is a 40-foot trimaran. There is access to your aft berth there. Or one of them actually. Then there's another access on this side. Here is your chart plotting station with all your controls. And there is your formal berth. You've actually got 3 berths on this vessel. So a very small one over on the port side, the nicer, larger one here on the starboard side at the aft with that large ventilation. Looking at this saloon, lots of light. Look at the carbon fiber tabletop, the carbon fiber countertop. All of your finishes are very high quality. The drawers are carbon fiber. Can you imagine that? So, I mean, you can get a sense of what these folks are building here. You've got a lot of great visibility with the raised saloon here, the deck saloon configuration. So, you know, there's no lack of light, no lack of comfort. You can see the nice details like the curved hatchways. We're moving into the head here. It is, of course, a wet head, but again, lots of light through the round port. Moving back into the aft cabin here, we were just looking at a roller cover on one of the cupboards, the hanging closets. Here you can see you've got stowage under the berth. You've got lots of ventilation, lots of opening hatches. Coming back up here, and that's the end of our tour of the Rapido 40. Now, what would we compare this to in pre-owned comparables? Well, first up, we are looking at a Neil 43. It's a 2022, so it's a one-year-old boat. They are asking for $522,563 for that boat. Again, a one-year-old boat, and we're looking here at about $900. So $900 versus about $525. You know what? Honestly, I would go with the Rapido in this case. The Neil 43 to me just stretches the Neil concept too far. And you don't end up with that much more space, and you don't get the level of performance that you're getting on the Rapido. So if I was to put these two side by side, even at you know, a delta of 400, I would do the Rapido. Next up, we're looking at a Rapido 40. It's a 2022, so one-year-old boat. They're looking at $823 versus $892. That's showing you some pretty darn good equity retention. Not a lot of depreciation on this. I'd go with the new one, and because bear in mind, these guys do a lot of customization. You can have any colors. I mean, we've all seen what La Vagabond has done to theirs. That's the extreme end. So for that small delta, I'd get a new one and have everything custom. I really was scratching the bottom of the barrel here because I couldn't find any other trimarans to compare to. So here is an 09 Dragonfly 35. They're asking for $256,000. You know, it's a 35 foot. I just wouldn't go that small. I could live myself in the Rapido 40, but I couldn't live in this. Okay, mono-hull heresy. What are we comparing this to? Well, we're looking at about the same length. The Trimaran has a little narrower body, so we might look a little smaller. But first up, we're looking at a 2020 Halberg Rassi, so 2-3-year-old boat. They're looking for $790,000 versus our $890,000. Oh, I'd still be tempted to go with the Rapido on this. I love the Halberg Rassis, but man, there's so much to love about this Rapido 40. For that small a delta, I'd do the Rapido. We're now looking at a 2021 Bavaria C38, 38 foot. It's going to have about the same amount of space inside. They're looking for $350,000. Of course, this is a completely different category. You know, if I had the Delta, I'd still do the Rapido. Next up, we're looking at 2021 Catalina 355, a 35-foot vessel. Beautiful interiors on these Catalinas. They do such a gorgeous job. They're looking for $315,000. This one would make me stop and think. I don't like the exterior looks of the Catalina. The interior is absolutely gorgeous. It is a robust boat. This one leaves me on the fence. Okay, the Dave score. Where does a 40-foot Trimaran end up on the Dave score? Well, holy mackerel, it shows up pretty darn fast. Now, that's a big surprise. So she is sitting at 74 out of 100 in the company of the Lagoon 55. Elegance, interior, 8. Exterior, 8. Interior comfort, 6. You're giving stuff up. Exterior, 6. Quality, 9. Performance, 9. Lazy Sailor, 8. Condo, 5. For probably a 3. Geek, 9. This is a geek's dream. And value for money, 6. It's a lot of cash. You know, I can see this sitting at 72 to 74. I would, for my purposes, I'd put the balance 482 ahead of it. So I think I was a little excited when I was scoring this one. She should probably be at about 70 to 71, I would say, but still a heck of a boat. For our Art of the Region this week, we're looking at Li Fo, Nature Morte, Still Life, circa 1960, oil on canvas. This painting is actually valued at about 60,000 USD. Still Life by Li Fo marks the pinnacle of his artistic flair, as well as his pursuit of capturing pure beauty in the natural world. Born in 1907, Li Fo moved to France in 1937, and it was there that the work of Pierre Bonnard opened up a new realm of light and color for Li Fo. This lit a fire under the artist to experiment with the iridescent qualities of light and color. His works were a radical departure from tradition, and he became a pioneer in establishing a new stream of modern Vietnamese art. This work is a testament to Li Fo's fascination with French impressionistic notions of form, texture, and chromatic allure. The canvas exudes golden warmth, and the artist's spontaneous brush caresses the soft silhouettes of the fruits and vegetables. With the white floral pattern cloth, Li Fo subverts the conventions of perspective, elevating the intricacies of color and composition by flattening the depicted objects. This distinctive method of exploring nature in all its vitality takes from both European and Vietnamese visual techniques. In this magnificent still life, the enchantment of oil paint becomes an infinitely malleable medium in the artist's masterful hands as his paintbrush traverses every inch of the canvas with passion. Well, that's our Waves, Wine, Art, and Idea for one more week, and as with our chosen art, passion describes the Rapido 40. I mean, I could see myself circumnavigating the globe in this vessel, and I'm, you know me, I like luxury, but there is something about this vessel, its technology, its purity of purpose, every element of it driving forward, and yet a fair amount of space in the inside that I could live with. Anyways, I do hope you've liked it. We have another boat coming at you next week, so stay tuned, and we'll see you then. Cheers.